Hi everybody. It's Saturday night and I promised to do a video. The witchy video that I wanted to do, I will post tomorrow. I was having some issues with my camera that I was using, so I'm just using this to do my second video. So first, before I start, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers, both new and old. Those who have been with me since the beginning and those who are new to my channel. I'm so forever grateful to all of you for making me at 36 subscribers. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget that when you walk through and look at the videos to hit the like button. That helps me to know what content you like so that I know what future videos to do. I've been running around really like crazy today, and this is the first time I've really sat down. So I wanted to share something with you all. Sorry, my nose is killing me because I was dealing with resin and the smell. It's not too bad, but it made my nose tickle. So I wanted to talk about something that is pretty personal to most people. But as you know, I do a lot of videos to help others, so I open myself up to vulnerability being on this channel. I'm not like this with even the closest of my friends. I think there's maybe a few, but I felt compelled to talk about this. I've shared this with two people in my life recently, so I figured I would share it with you all, and I hope that the intuitive introvert empaths out there will understand that you're not alone if this is something that you're going through, and that, people shame you for being this way, and I promise you that I feel very embarrassed to share this because it makes me anxious about it, and I have to take baby steps to fix all the damage I've made in the last 4 or 5 years by being this way. So in my spiritual journey in the last 2 years, I've come so far along this path that now I'm digging into the really deep scars, the deep issues, which PTSD is one of the major ones, and we all have triggers, and some of us have certain triggers that we know of, but a lot of times we don't know what the triggers are, and it takes our soul searching and digging into emotions we really don't want to deal with in order to find that out. So most people go to therapists or doctors to get medicine, or go to just therapists. But sorry, the TV is louder than what I thought it was. I hate when that happens, the commercial comes on and then it gets really loud. I have goosebumps on in the background because I love this movie with Jack Black. So most people go to therapists for these issues. However, I feel that by talking about it to certain people, by doing what I'm doing right now on this YouTube channel, it's very therapeutic. But most importantly, if I can help one person, and if I can look back on my history and see how far I've come, which I've already done in the last couple of years, then that helps me as well. But more or less, it helps other people to know they're not alone if they are dealing with what I'm about to talk about. Now, empaths, pretty much the type of empath I am, which is a true empath, which if I did another video this past week and a half that if you haven't watched, go and watch, that talks about this. We are usually introverts, which means that we are limited to our experiences with other people and in the outside world. We're very comfortable with being alone, and we are very selective on who we surround ourselves with. And when we do spend time with those people, it has to be when we're fully feeling healthy, both energetically and our bodies, if that makes sense. So we have to be grounded. We have to be in a good place. If we don't feel like doing it, then we can't force ourselves to do it. I used to do that before I knew I was truly an empath. And I used to get sick because I was always doing things to make other people happy at my own expense and being miserable, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to talk about is something that I realized looking back after much soul searching, that I became this type of person because of my pain and suffering from childhood trauma as well as adulthood trauma. I've had a lot of abandonment issues, which are really hard for me to talk about sometimes, but I have major abandonment issues, as well as I used to have separation anxiety when I was little. I don't have that now as an adult, obviously. So, in this pain, somewhere along the line, and I think what triggered this specific thing again after my childhood was an event that happened about 6 years ago. Um, Not blaming anybody, but we had a hurricane here and I was left in the house by myself. And so I was with my dogs, and it was the first year living in the house. I had been in it less than a year, and I just didn't want to go to my then boyfriend, uh, his friend's house, because I didn't want to take my dogs there. Plus, I'm allergic to cats, and they had cats. So, long story short, he decided to go, which is fine. That was his choice. At the time, I was very upset and angry at him because why would he leave me? But I don't feel that way anymore. That was my choice to stay and his choice to go. And I'm not angry about it at all. However, that was an altering state of abandonment for me. Not blaming him, but it brought up the abandonment issues as a child. Somewhere along the line in that year, I actually, sorry, my pug moved. Pugsley, he's uncomfortable tonight for some reason. Somewhere along the line in that year, even though I really didn't make a lot of money, I started to grow an attachment to materialistic things. And somewhere along the way, I became a hoarder. And I don't mean like a hoarder like the Hoarder TV show. Most of them are very intense hoarders. Um, I would buy things at like Goodwill and like Dollar Store and like different places. And being an empath and a medium, a lot of times I'll purchase things on sale that I see. Even though I know it's not truly for me, I feel like somewhere along the line I'm going to end up giving it to somebody. I'm going to know who it's for. But that's not the majority of the stuff I bought. But that's some of it. So, in the soul searching in this last year, I've had to come to terms with a memory of sexual assault when I was a teenager. That really, really affected me. And then I started to realize as I started to try to clean my house, because I started feeling better, because I started really in the last year and a half, 2 years, eating healthier. I went off the bandwagon and stopped eating healthier a few months ago, and I'm trying to get back on track. But for a long time, I was eating healthier, and once it started to get in my body, I started to realize that the things around me in the house were making me feel sick. And so what it is I have clutter everywhere. And because for 4 years, and I will admit this on YouTube, I had horrible depression. I had so much loss in my life, in adulthood and childhood. I don't want to talk about it on here, but one of the events really took me for a turn for the worst. And then when I got my dog Wednesday, it helped me tremendously. And then when I got Pugsley about 8 months later in this house, that helped me a lot as well. I've always felt like I didn't have anybody to depend on but myself. And that's something I really needed to work through, because I seem to always take people for their word and always get my feelings hurt because they would say they would do something and not follow through. And I would take that on myself and feel that it was something about me. So there goes the self-esteem, self-worth issue that I have, or had, because I don't have it anymore. I don't take people for their word. If they say they're going to do something, great. And if they don't do it, that's on them, not on me. I'm not going to take it personally because it's not my fault. So I started collecting things, and then I would be good for a while. This is looking back. I never realized it during the time that I was doing it. And now that I have been feeling like I need to do something. Oh, I'm sorry, I go back 4 years of depression. On top of that, because I was eating so badly food, my rheumatoid arthritis, which I have throughout my body, but especially in my fingers and my toes and my hips, was extremely bad, to the point where I didn't want to share that with anybody, but I was afraid I was going to be crippled by the time I was 50. Limited my chores around the house, and I didn't really have anybody to help me, and I'm too proud to ask anybody for help and too embarrassed to have them come in my house. So most hoarders are like that. However, I'm not like a dirty hoarder, like where I have dried food or roaches anywhere. That's not what I mean. I just mean clutter and maybe dust and dog hair. Um, so for 4 years, piled up and piled up, and I had things and more clutter and more things. So now think about that. It's been 4 years, 5 years of that. So now I'm trying to accept that emotion, know that that's me, and in order to heal it, I need to take baby steps and purge items because it's not healthy for me. Now, I've been doing that for the last 2 months, and I feel extremely overwhelmed at times because I feel like I'm never going to get it done. Now, most people say just focus on one room at a time, but if anybody understands PTSD, that's very hard to do because what will happen is I'll go in my spare room, which I share with my roommate, and I have a lot of stuff in there, and I try to start organizing things, and then I'll get up to let the dogs out, and then I'll see something in the living room, and I'll try to do something in there, and then long story short, I feel overwhelmed, and then I get really hard on myself, and then vicious circle, right? Now, I've been much better lately. What I've decided to do is in the living room, I'm going to purge it and paint because I've never painted the house. I've been here almost 7 years, and it's depressing. I have some things on the wall, but I really want to paint, but it's just me by myself. And it's really hard for me to do a lot of stuff by myself. So I have to pace myself because I start to feel really overwhelmed. And any of you that are PTSD introverts like myself and empaths, you're completely like going, yeah, that's me. So what I decided to do was slowly go through things one thing at a time. And I created some bins that are in the living room that have different sections like the kitchen, uh, towel, whatever, like, stuff like that. So as I go through stuff, I either put it in the bin, put it in a box to give away, or get rid of it. So what I've been doing is I have like 7 different little boxes or packages of things that I want to give away to friends that I have met here online or that I know from the past. So like, for instance, I'll go through my crystals and I'll go, oh, this might help so-and-so. I'll go through my jewelry. Oh, this might help so-and-so. I'll go through my clothing, stuff that doesn't fit me anymore that I've never worn. Oh, this will, go to so-and-so instead of giving it all to Goodwill. So that's been my goal. But every once in a while, I feel extremely, extremely overwhelmed and I have to stop because I start feeling really the self-worth thing. I start getting emotional and feeling like I'm a failure because I can't get things done. So the PTSD trigger for me is the chaos, right? So I'm really trying very hard to deal with that. So I wanted to read something to you. Okay, so here it goes. So this is something I wrote earlier and I wanted to share with you. So I've been purging because I realized with my PTSD and abandonment issues after the hurricane, 6 years ago, 6 years ago, when I went through all that, I think after so much loss, abandonment, and things that have been tragic in my life up until then really got to me. Um, with me working on myself spiritually and emotionally, like I just said, through all the things that I've done, like meditation, oils, essential oils, crystals, the orgone, which I love making. My fish and the dogs have really helped me a lot. Also Reiki, which I don't really do much on myself, but I have a friend who sometimes helps me. I love being at home alone, and for an introvert, most of us don't want to be out in the public. And if I could find a job working from home, I would probably be one of those rare people that wouldn't have a problem with that. So I just want to say on here that intuitive introvert empaths, that's a tongue twister, suffer more than most people would ever be able to handle. And I'm not saying that to make anybody feel sorry for me. I'm saying that for you to understand that, especially those of us who choose to not medicate, what we do is we push and push and push and push and push. And we keep pushing and pushing ourselves until we crack. And what I mean by that is our bodies give up. Our bodies start to get sick. And that's what happened to me in the last couple weeks, on and off, where my body's trying to tell me that something's going on, and it bubbles up and then it explodes. So yesterday I felt like shit at work, and today I felt a little better, but that's because I wasn't around people. I went to the dealership to get my car worked on, and I ran into Home Depot really quick. But other than that, I've been by myself. So it's been great. I've been able to replenish. I saged I have essential oils on right now. I have some eucalyptus in there, and I have a candle lit for the ancestors and my fireside candle. Thank you, Jeff. I actually lit it tonight as well, during the Halloween month, since it's my holiday, Samhain. I took that day off. I honor the witches of old and the witches of new, those that were burned at the stake and killed for being a natural witch. And so I did some research. And so that's my next video, just so you know. For the month of October, I'm going to try to do a video here and there about the witches and where it really started in Connecticut. It didn't start in Salem. So a lot of people don't realize that. I don't know why it settled in Salem. I know everybody makes a big deal about Salem, but Salem is all hoo-ha. It's basically, I'm not saying it didn't happen. That's not what I mean, and I don't mean to insult anybody. But what I mean is somehow it settled there for a tourism thing, and I've been there twice, and it's okay. I just don't agree with a lot of the things they say in the museum and things that happen that they portray as. So anyways, that's my story. I hope that this has helped one person out there that may feel the same way or may be going through the same thing. Yeah, I'm trying not to get emotional because I don't like to get emotional too much, but it's something I'm working on. So my goal, and I'm scared and I'm stressed about it, I know that sounds weird, I got some paint swabs, the little cards at Home Depot, and I am going to attempt my week off at Christmas time to pull the furniture away from one wall and paint, pull furniture from the other wall and paint the little fireplace trim in the wall, and paint the other wall and the other wall, and then eventually hopefully paint the hallway, which probably won't happen. I hope it'll all happen at once, but I'm going to try to do that for myself. My living room looks a disaster, and I'm trying to still get through stuff and throw it out. But that's my goal, and my goal is to suck it up and go and measure the door next weekend when I get paid, and go to Home Depot and talk to somebody and schedule and use it on my charge card, even though I don't want to go in more debt, and have them replace the door because the door is a mess. So anyways, I wanted to do this video so that other people would know that, when you watch that show Hoarders, people are very judgmental and they say, oh my God, how can that person be that way? But for someone who has this issue, like myself, or at least a mild case of it, I watch when they have a person, especially an elderly person, right, older person, even if they have children, who's in their house and has their things, and they just start throwing them in the dumpster, or they start throwing, and I'm not talking about the really dirty ones. I'm just talking about the people that hoard clothes and things and collectibles. It hurts my heart to watch them in so much pain, because a normal person doesn't understand that when you're throwing that stuff in the dumpster, it's not everything, but certain things you're throwing in there, it's like a piece of this person you're throwing in the trash. That's how it feels when you have this materialistic attachment. And I'm not a materialistic person at all. It's just something that happens when you go through this in life. So, yeah, what happens with those people is, especially people who have children that are grown, their children go off, right? Or maybe their husband dies or whatever, and they're alone. And even though their family says they're going to be around, let's be honest, some family sucks at that. My family sucks at that. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend any of my family on here, but out of sight, out of mind. I used to chase people around by texting certain people in my family, and after they don't text back or comment, you know what? I'm not chasing you. I love you, but I'm not chasing you. So I hope you all have a great evening. It's Saturday night. I'm about to watch Cops Live PD, and Pugsley's snoring over here. I made myself some really strong chicken soup. And Christy, if you're watching this, I love you, sister. I hope you get healthier and you're feeling better. I made the flu bomb that you taught me how to make with the ginger, the garlic, the lemon, and the organic honey. And holy crap, I took what is it called? One of those little jars. I made myself some yesterday and downed it. And then Thursday night I made some and downed it. And yesterday I made some and downed it. And it has helped me tremendously. I love you. Thank you so much for always being there for me. I'm here for you too. All right, guys. Thank you again. Love you. This is going on 20 minutes, so I'm going to stop now. And I hope that you'll comment below and you know that you're not alone. And thank you for letting me share. Bye.